Uncle Dan walked out the front door calmly, as if he just escaped from the grocery store, jogging away into the darkness like he was avoiding a phantom shopping spree. Plan gone awry, Teddy quickly gathered Axion and the others to kick off a missing person contest. They ambushed Uncle Dan's place, only to find it deserted. He moved so sneakily, there wasn't even a goodbye note. Plus, Uncle Dan installed cameras at home, turning Teddy's gang's antics into a reality TV show. Uncle Dan bought an abroad ticket early, faking his departure with a drama. But Teddy saw right through it, asking, "What's your game plan? Throwing a theme party or something?" Find him, it'll bring the crew. Uncle Dan realized he was up against a tough cookie and decided to wait a couple of days for the perfect. Uncle Dan secretly visited CIA friend Susan. Stunned, she thought he had died. Susan's eyes brimmed with surprise and excitement, securing all Uncle Dan's needed info by next day like a courier. Turns out he was facing off against the Russian mob led by Pushkin, which was like a malignant supermarket on the East Coast. Teddy solved problems for Pushkin, ex-Russian Special Forces soldier, as fierce as a store bully. After a night of deep thought, Uncle Dan decided to step into the ring, ready to grapple this cunt like he was entering a wrestling match. He sneaked into Daxion's garage, creating noise like a nighttime horror movie actor. When Daxion appeared, Uncle Dan jumped out of the shadows like the punchline of a stand-up comedy, giving him a big surprise. Daxion tried to resist at first, but after Uncle Dan's special effects torture, he complied and promised to take him to Pushkin's other hideouts. What looked like a slaughterhouse was actually Pushkin's money-laundering theater real setup. Uncle Dan posed as Daxion's follower, like a forced extra, before boss Andre. Seeing a stranger, Andre got suspicious, like he spotted an unlicensed shopper grabbing his gun ready to shoot. Uncle Dan, in command, fired the slaughterhouse staff preparing for a major cleanup. He instructed Daxion to call the police, and everything proceeded exactly as planned, as if they were throwing a resignation party. Daxion secretly hid Pushkin's crime evidence in a bank safe, an unexpected find. Uncle Dan opened the cold, hard door and nearly dropped his jaw, as if he'd found a miracle straight out of a fairy tale. Unrelenting, he traced Pushkin's U.S. company via a USB in Daxion's safe. The list of officials in corrupt deals stunned Uncle Dan, as if he'd hit the jackpot. He quickly called his FBI buddy Old Mo, who was like the nosy neighbor always offering warnings, just in time. "Had you found some cash today? Check your mail to make sure no one's jumped the line." Thanks to the shipping records and the USB, Uncle Dan easily pinpointed the dock Pushkin was using for oil smuggling like catching a runaway kid. Quietly planting the bomb, those multi-million-dollar ships were instantly reduced to rubble, like a wild fireworks show. Losses mounting, Pushkin issued Teddy a final warning, like a parent's admonition. Angry and embarrassed, Teddy gathered his hitmen again, planning to farewell party the collies close to Uncle Dan. Threatened, if Uncle Dan didn't arrive at the supermarket in 30 minutes, they'd reshuffle all. Uncle Dan reluctantly hopped on the bus to the supermarket, musing, "Guess him, just an honest shoplifter." The hitmen were ready for an ambush, but when the bus reached the market, Teddy found a little truck waiting. It turned out what Teddy tracked was just a phone left on the seat, smartphone trolling at its best. Teddy ordered his men to take out the first hostage, as if playing a twisted game of ultimate comeback. Suddenly, the supermarket's intercom blared to life, and a glimpse of Uncle Dan flitted across the monitor. The hitmen sensed danger and geared up. Just as they were about to start searching, the lights went out, and the automatic doors locked, such a perfect setup for a battle royale. Uncle Dan sprinkled gravel on the floor, waiting for the hitmen to step on it and make noise, prepping for his grand counterattack. Watching the hitmen struggle, Uncle Dan smiled, eyes devoid of pity, like a little audience enjoying a show. Just as Uncle Dan was about to clear the scene, Teddy suddenly shot him in the shoulder, completely blindsided. Uncle Dan dodged quickly, using scorched doorknobs for emergency first aid, showing no fear in the face of trouble. He placed the lit flamethrower on the ground, making the hitmen think it was a trap. They hurriedly dodged, unaware Uncle Dan had circled behind the bald guy. Uncle Dan landed a decisive blow on the bald guy like a superhero thrown into a brawl. The bald guy, strong as an ox, played like a boss battle, slamming Uncle Dan and pounding his wound. As they both struggled, the knife fell aside, like two warriors-looking blades at the edge of battle. Exhausted, Uncle Dan was about to tidy up, when Raphael the god arrived and pulled him out, like a savior. Sly killers found them. Raphael was hit in the butt good deeds and rewarded. After checking the injuries, Uncle Dan instructed Raphael to push the supermarket's power switch within 40 seconds, like it was a quick chicken. Meanwhile, he moved in the other direction, leading the hitmen away, following the trail of spilled blood like narrating a missing person story. Just as he was to shoot, a nail pierced his right shoulder at close call. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing tales.